Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you. And spring is right around the corner. And for a lot of people like myself, that can include getting rid of things that no longer serve you, that you no longer need. And it put me in mind today to bring this broadcast to you because my husband was going through a box of some memorabilia. Both sets of our parents are deceased, and that means that we have inherited all of their things, including their paperwork, their old letters, their business cards, passports, driver's licenses, all these things that were basically passed down to us to deal with. Now, I have found in my years of dealing with clutter, I kind of consider myself a little bit of an expert. I am someone that likes to live more of a streamlined life. I wouldn't call myself a minimalist, but I would say the most difficult things to declutter are the sentimental items. And even though we were looking through a box of David's parents' paperwork and so forth, it really kind of made me a little sad. And I was grieving a bit looking at these items. And I was also thinking about items that I have that are going to be passed along someday, somewhere to someone. And what is it that I would like to keep? What is it that I would like to eliminate? What is it that I would like to streamline? And I would say that in all of the categories of things that we could reduce in our life, the emotional clutter, and sometimes those are physical things, but sometimes they're not physical, they're intangible, they're memories that we hold on to, or sorrows or wrongs that we experienced. And sometimes we're holding on to those things as well. And that can kind of, bring us down a little bit. So as I was preparing for this video, I thought, oh gosh, I don't feel my extra ebullient self as I normally do. And I realized it was because I was surrounded by this memorabilia, and it just put me in sort of a grieving mode. And I think when we get rid of things, there is a type of grief that goes along with that because we are letting go. Now, some people are the complete opposite. And I think about my dad, and he actually loved to clear stuff out. He was an artist, an actual commercial artist, and he designed a lot of things like, packaging, everything from wallpaper to t-shirts to, anything you could think of, including greeting cards. So he was the lettering artist for a greeting card company. And he also hand painted a lot of these greeting cards. And I have a number of these as part of my souvenirs, I guess you could call them. But my dad used to go through his files of artwork and just toss them. I mean, just put them in the bin. And we would be saying, Dad, wait, we might want to have that stuff. So to his credit, he didn't pass down a lot of things, but I really look at my dad and I'm thinking, and his actions, and I'm thinking, there was something about that. Now, you might have heard of that, this thing called Swedish death cleaning. And that is where people in my age group, so to speak, they go through their belongings and they clear through them and they cull through them so that at their demise, they don't have to leave all of this stuff for their family to go through. And so when I think in terms of what is it that I would like to keep private, or what is it that I don't mind passing on to others, that's something that I look at. But I want to share with you some of the tips and tools and techniques and things that I've done in terms of reducing the amount of things, especially these kind of emotional things that I don't want to hang on to any longer. Let me say right from the get-go, it's okay to keep what you want. Contrary to these videos and channels on YouTube, you do not have to live with only a few items of clothing. And, I have a lot of things you can see in my office. And you don't have to get rid of these letters and pictures and journals and memorabilia and old concert tickets and whatever brings you joy, definitely keep. Now, it may be that you're in the situation like I am, where you have inherited sort of generations of things. Like I've got pictures that I inherited from my mom of people that I don't even know. And in the beginning, I didn't want to get rid of anything because it belonged to my mom. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm betraying her, or I'm not going to, if I don't keep everything that was hers, I'm going to regret that down the line. And now that I'm down the line and I've been able to go through these things over time, I realize that it's okay to let go of those things that have no emotional meaning for me. By the same token, it's okay for you to keep those things that are meaningful for you. So if you have boxes of letters and cards and pictures that you love, that bring you joy, that put a smile on your face when you're going through them, for heaven's sakes, keep them. There's no rule that says you have to get rid of them. Now, if you're keeping boxes of old receipts and old tax forms from a couple of decades ago, that's another story. In fact, some of those things are a lot easier to start with. What I recommend if you're new to getting rid of things that you no longer want, I would say that you start with things at the opposite end of the spectrum and you leave the sentimental things for later. So you could go through your linen cabinet. I did a whole series of videos last year where I went through and cleaned out underneath my bathroom sink. I mean, I was able to get rid of the half-used shampoo bottles. I would combine the contents, and I got rid of nail polish that I no longer use or need. And I donated a lot of items. In fact, there is a place where I am here in Florida, and we compile things for women that are in a situation, temporary situation where they need help. And so those types of things are really well received. So starting out in a place like the bathroom or the linen cabinet, or maybe some of your kitchen drawers, like go through the utensil drawer. How many spatulas do you need? How many spoons do you need? How many cake servers do you need? And in many cases, those are not that sentimental. So you can kind of build up your muscles and get your momentum going. The other thing that I recommend is to set a timer. So maybe go through your items for 5 minutes at a time and say, you know what, I did it. I cleared out that drawer, or maybe just isolate a location, like I'm going to focus on one drawer or one box. You could also start with things like your sock drawer. That's usually not that sentimental. There's often a lot of socks that don't have a mate, and you can donate those. And it feels so good to lighten the load. That's how I feel. I feel like I kind of lose weight. In fact, I remember a time my husband and I cleared out our attic, and that's how I say it. we say that as a joke. We cleared out the attic, and I am telling you, I feel like in the following week, I literally lost a few pounds. Physically, I lost a few pounds because I feel like all of that stuff that was just hanging around was weighing me down, literally. So going through and decluttering, starting with the items that are not that sentimental, is a good place to start. Locating one place like this drawer or that cabinet is another great place to start. And then putting a time limit, like I'm just going to do it for 5 minutes and see how much I can put in this bag or box. And then the other trick is to immediately put that in your car and have a place where you're going to donate it. Another thing that I do when I'm at that level of decluttering, of getting rid of things that I no longer need or I have duplicates of, is I really focus on thinking about the person who's going to be receiving it. And that has helped me a lot. We have a family that we know here that really can benefit from things that we were going to give away to the thrift shop. And so over the time that we've been in Florida with, all of the things that we have and no longer need, we have given the family items that they can use and that we no longer needed. And it brings me so much joy, especially those items where I'm like, well, I'm not quite sure if I should keep that or not. And then I think about who's going to benefit, and it really helps me take that next step. Years ago, when my mom passed away and I had to clear out the entire house, I took so many things to our local thrift shop that they finally said, we can't take any more. You have to go somewhere else. We can no longer take any more of your mom's things. And I kind of have a smile on my face now. Trust me, a decade ago when this happened, I couldn't talk about this without really tearing up and breaking down. But now I can kind of look back at that and say, I don't want to, when it's my time, I don't want that to be the situation for the survivors. I don't want them to be turned away from the thrift shop because I have too much stuff that they have to donate or that they don't want. So you may have noticed in my broadcasts, I kind of wear the same clothes over and over because I like them. And I buy clothes that, like, this is cotton and this is silk. And I buy, as much as possible, natural fabrics that last a long time. And I like the wardrobe that I've built, and I have very few clothes. It's just not something that I have a lot of. Now, my husband might disagree with me when it comes to bags and shoes, although I have a lot fewer shoes than he does. But he came up with this rule of when you bring something new in, like a new pair of shoes, then another pair of shoes has to go out. Now, we don't really hold to that that much these days because I've got a puppy dog, Sandy, who likes to chew my shoes. I think she thinks they're called chews. So I have had to replace some shoes, and they went out on their own thanks to Sandy. But that is another rule that you could adopt if that makes sense to you, that if you're bringing in something into your house, maybe you love, I don't know, knickknacks or candles or what have you, and when one comes in, one goes out, and that's a way of sort of corralling the clutter and not letting it take over. So when it comes to my clothing and my shoes and my jewelry, and actually even my purses and bags and so forth, I don't have that many. I have a very streamlined wardrobe, and I like that. Where I tend to hold on to things, or let me know if this is the same for you. Leave a comment and let me know if you lead a streamlined, simple, clutter-free life, or if you like the knickknacks. If this is not an area that you struggle with, if you're at peace with your belongings, I would love to know all of your secrets. For me, I have got, in fact, I can probably show you all of my cabinets, all of the drawers in my office. And I have, this is duplicated on the other side, and I have drawers down here as well. These are all full of letters, many of them from my lovely subscribers who have written to me with notes of thanks. And I keep those and I treasure those, and I go through them and I share them sometimes on when I'm online here on screen, because they bring me so much joy. As a matter of fact, if you'd like to write to me, there is a snail mail address in the description box of this video. So for me, holding on to the cards, the letters, that brings me a lot. And you can see by the smile on my face, that brings me a lot of joy. So I don't count that as clutter, but I do count it as belongings. I do count it as things that I own that somebody's going to have to deal with at a certain time. So that is kind of one category, the cards and the letters. And do you know what, friends? I have been keeping my cards and letters since I first received birthday cards as a very young child. Maybe this is just me. Actually, I have a very dear friend. We were talking about this recently, and she is the same way. She said that she has always kept every birthday card. I don't know about the Christmas cards. Sometimes those are not as personal. Sometimes they are, with pictures of family and friends and so forth. But for me, I have birthday cards from a very, very young age. And I look at them and it reminds me of a more carefree time of life. And I'm kind of instantly transported back to happier, sweeter days, if I could put it that way. So I have boxes and boxes of cards and letters. And I've lived in a lot of different places. I went away to college, then I went away to graduate school, then I lived in Morocco, I lived in Europe. So I have a lot of correspondence between family members, letters that I wrote to family members and the letters that they wrote to me. And I've got letters from my, grandma and aunts and uncles and so forth. And most of those people are now deceased. So they're even more precious to me. I have a greater sense of emotional connection to them. But I'm at the point in my life where these boxes and bins are starting to take over my closet and the garage. And I realize that I probably will feel lighter and less weighed down if I can start to cull through some of those. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the strategies that people use, the pros and cons about that. I think we all have heard about either scanning or snapping a photo of letters or whatever the things are that we think that we want to get rid of. And I actually recommended that when I did a course that was called Simplify and Declutter Your Life. Let me know if you're interested in anything like that. I might still have it around. I did that a few years ago, and it was really fun because we all went through it together. And every week people would send me pictures of what they decluttered, and it was a really nice support group. So that was a lot of fun. But back then, I would recommend that you snap a photo of something that you are ready to release. And that way you can always look at the image if that, that would at least bring you the memory. But then I started thinking, there is a type of connection that I have to the actual physical object. So if I have, for example, a letter that was written by my dad, it's his handwriting. He wrote that envelope. He put the stamp on that envelope, and I have it. And it brings me a sense of connection to my father, having that handwritten letter. Yes, I could take a picture of it. Yes, I could scan it. But and I have recommended that, and I do that. But I started to realize that even the digital copies are not completely safe. I mean, how many computers do I no longer have? And I don't even know if the pictures I had on that computer I have on this computer. I've lost cell phones, and this was prior to, having things in the cloud. And I have pictures and things on my phone that I don't even look at. So having it as a digital backup, I suppose, is all right. But as a replacement for the actual item, I'm not recommending that as actively as I used to. There are other things that I have. This is kind of my memory area here. I have physical items that are actually very important to me. Books and little knickknacks, things that were given to me as gifts from people that were and are important to me that are no longer alive. And it's like I can have that object, I can hold that object, and it means something to me. Now, I don't want to live in a cluttered environment where I can't see those things or enjoy those things. So what I've endeavored to do is to really focus on the things that have the most value for me. And I put them out and I display them. So they're not tucked away in a box. So what I'm going to be doing with the cards and letters that I showed you are in these drawers, I'm going to be putting them in boxes that I can actually sort of go through. Like if I'm, I don't know, having breakfast or taking a break or what have you, or maybe I've got a friend or family member over. I'm like, oh, I want to show you this really cool card that I had, and it's at hand. And I want to be surrounded by that positive, encouraging energy as well. So that's something that I'm going to try to do. I'm going to do that with my dad's artwork as well. Instead of having it in bins and all of that, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to let it live. I'm going to live among it, so to speak. And I'll have the artwork and the cards in boxes that I can just kind of go through and look at and reminisce. Now, what I really have noticed when I'm going through things is whether the item that I pick up puts a smile on my face or brings a sense of sorrow. I'm not saying this is something that you need to do, but it's something that I've noticed for myself. When something puts a smile on my face, I know that I want to keep that. When something brings up a memory that is sad or tragic, or I feel like I don't really want to dwell on that any longer, for me, that is an indication that that is probably something I'm ready to let go of. I don't have to let go of it today. And that's the other tip is I have cycles where I cycle and I'll go through things. And after the second or third time of seeing it, over a period of months or years, it's like, what? I don't really think I need that anymore. And I can let that go. Now, the flip side of this is where I really went through some purging stages. And this is when we were coming to Florida and, really doing some major clear outs of things. And I'm telling you, I would get on this jag where everything went into the dumpster. I got rid of old calendars, which I actually kind of like keeping because I can go back and say, oh yeah, what did we do that year for Christmas? And where was that? When was that vacation we took? But now I do it in a simpler way where I just kind of keep lists and I don't have to keep the whole calendar because I would be looking at the calendar. And again, it would just bring me back like living in the past. And there are some things that I want to remember, but the calendars weren't putting a smile on my face. They were making me go like this. And I don't want to live like that. I want to live my life forward. I want to live it in the here and now, and I want to live forward. So I think cycling through things is also a great idea, and it can give you a chance to kind of revisit. But here's where I was going with my story. So during one of these purges, I mean, some of the things didn't even make it to the thrift shop because they weren't of use to anybody, like papers and things that I just needed to shred and get rid of. But there were some things that I finally decided, you know what, now is the time. I don't need this old baseball and this old program from a high school play that I was in. And I could snap a photo of it, but some of the things actually even start to fade. And so I had, packaged all that stuff up, and that was going to the thrift shop and all of that. Well, here's what's funny. We did move some things to Florida. We still have a foothold in California, but we are streamlining and eliminating some of our things. I do not know what happened, but somehow this box that was intended for the thrift shop ended up here in Florida. But here's the important part of the story. When I opened it and I saw all of these things that I thought I had already donated, I thought I had already gone through the emotional separation of saying goodbye. It was really like, oh no, I have to say goodbye to all of this stuff again. I thought I had already gotten through that. Maybe that's just me. I'm really a sentimental person. I'm a nostalgic person, and I just have a deep emotional connection to some of these things. And I thought, oh no, I have to go through the goodbyes again. But I did. And it was all right because I had already done a pre goodbye. The other thing that I want to share with you is a year ago, over a year ago, very sadly, my cousin was among one of those individuals that tragically lost her home in the fires in California. And she was in the Pasadena area, and she escaped with her purse and her car. It happened so quickly. She didn't think to take anything with her. I am prepared where I do know where my passport is and my important papers. I would grab my animals, I would grab my computer, I would grab the cash that I keep on hand because you never know what's going to happen in these situations. And I've got kind of my go bag. But it was so tragic that she lost everything. And she's been working through that and getting her life back, up and running. And I asked her, would she like some of the pictures and letters and things that I have? Because I have some of these shared, I have pictures and letters and things of our shared events, mainly when we were younger and we had holidays and things like that together. I've got some letters from her mom and so forth. And she said, you know what, Peg, I actually feel like it's a fresh start. I can't think about the things that I lost. And it's making me live in the here and now going forward. And I'm glad you have those and I'd like to take a look at them, but I don't really need anything. And I'm thinking to myself, and that point of view may change, but I thought that is really an interesting perspective to take. So sometimes I'll play that little game with myself. Like if I had to run out of the house in an emergency or there was a fire, is this something I would really mourn? Is this something that I really would want to keep? Or is this something that I'd be okay if it didn't make it? And again, you don't have to get rid of the things. I'm not urging you to do that unless you feel drawn to do so. There were a few things that didn't make it in our move and all of that. And in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking, you know what? I enjoyed it while I had it. I can still think about that image in my mind, and I can still have the memory in my heart. And if I don't have the physical object, c'est la vie. That's how it goes. So I hope my tips have been helpful. And just to kind of, I would love to see what you have to offer as well. But basically, start with the non emotional things first, the non sentimental things. Give yourself a time limit, take the things. To donate them to people that you know can benefit. Snap a photo if that's something that's important to you. Keep the things that are meaningful for you. Bring them in so you're seeing them and enjoying them, and they're there and you're living among them. I think that's has been a game changer for me. I have a little case over here, like of little pins and things that my mom had, and they're really pretty. It's like I'm going to put those on display, and there may come a time when I want to donate those and move on. But right now, they put a smile on my face, so I'm going to hang on to that. And the other thing is I like to bask in the glow of a job well done. So when those things have gone to be donated, I can say, you know what? I feel really good about that. I'm going to finish off with a funny story. I don't know if I shared this one on a previous broadcast, but I want you to look. Can you see all the way? I don't know if you can see. Oh my gosh, I'm doing this on the fly. You see my swimming trophies there? Oh my God. I have a funny story about the swimming trophies. I was a competitive swimmer, and I still love to swim. That's my favorite form of exercise. So swimming is very important to me. Being in the water is very important to me. And these trophies apparently are very important to me. That was through my teen years. And years ago, I boxed them all up. I got rid of all of my medals and all of my ribbons. I mean, I had a lot. And I boxed up the trophies, and I thought, I'm going to do what the websites say, and I'm going to take a picture of those trophies and I'm going to donate them to the thrift shop down the street. And that's exactly what I did. And my husband and I, so maybe you do the same thing, like we donate to the thrift shop and then we go inside the thrift shop to see if there's something we can't live without, buy something that somebody else donated, or who knows, maybe buy something that we donated. Well, that's exactly what happened. I saw those trophies displayed up on a shelf, and I'm looking at them going, well, they look so much better up on a shelf than in a box in the garage. And I bought those trophies back. Yes, I paid for them and I was happy to do so. It was a donation for a worthy cause. And the person that was working there had a good chuckle when I told him the story. And I said, they look so nice displayed up there. I think I want them back and I'm going to display them. So that's my story. And I'm sticking to it. I want to bring you encouragement so that you don't have to get rid of the things that you don't want to. It's okay. It is okay. These are your belongings. And my goal is just to help you along on your journey. If this is an area where you want to feel a little more streamlined, a little more lighthearted, and ideally not be bogged down by things that you no longer want and that in some cases other people could benefit from. Can't wait to read your comments. This is a topic that I could talk about a lot. I absolutely love it. And I want to thank all of you for being on board. This is our positive encouragement community. I'm here every Friday. It's 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. For those of you that like, I wanted to tell you something else. You've been asking me about what I do for my skin. I will bring you a video all about my skincare, but I wanted to let you know, let's have to do this like an influencer. How do they do it? Oh, see, I don't even know how to do it. Oh my gosh. I will put the image for you up on the screen and I'll show you on the website. This is my handcrafted youth serum. And so I've got a whole story there with my before and after picture. I will do a video for you where I talk about the worst thing that I ever did to my skin and how I helped it heal. And I want to thank all of you who have purchased this. And as I say, it's handcrafted and you can find that over at peggyhall.com/youth-serum. And I think it's also at youthserum.com. I have to double check to make sure that is linked up as well. So thanks everybody for being on board. I look forward to seeing you in an upcoming broadcast. And I've got a free Substack that's connected to this channel, and that is at livingswell.substack.com. And basically I do a written summary of what I talk about on the videos so you can have that to refer to it and share it with others as well. All right. I look forward to seeing you in an upcoming broadcast.